Well, interesting. I don't see it live yet. Traders, if you can hear me out there, let's get this game going. So, thank you for tuning in. Traders, if you can hear me out there, let's get this game going. So, thank you for tuning in to livewithoscar.com. Today is Friday. It is midday. And it looks to me like the markets are beginning to change complexion. And that's exciting. So I thought I would show that to you. This is a very risky game. Never ever trade any markets without stops. Always put your protective stops in first. Remember that, because you can lose a lot more money in this game than you think if you do not have that stop in place. All right, so we know there's risk, but where there's risk, there is reward. What do we have going on here? E-mini S&P, we know it's been below the double top ever since the double top was formed. All right, we had top 1. Then we have top 2, so we know we're below a double top, and it drops down from the double top and gets below. What we didn't want to see is it gets below this major green support line. Starts all the way down here, hits here, and all of a sudden we drop below. A little bit scary that it drops below. So we're here, and we get below the 200 bar moving average for a few days. But look what happens today. Finally, the cavalry comes in. Wall Street defends the 200 bar moving average. We get above our F flag, so we can now negate it. F flags, when they break, you always end up F'd in the end. In other words, it goes in the opposite direction. So that's happening. We move the F flag out of the way. And what we have now basically is defense at the 200 bar moving average. Thank you to the street. And we are back above that resistance / support line. Was support, then became resistance, and now is back to support again. So I like what I'm seeing there. I love the way the cavalry came out today and started defending the 200 bar moving average. Let's go look at a few more charts I think you might find interesting. Here's a NASDAQ chart. NASDAQ, the same thing. This interesting area I've been showing you in every video. We've had it circled, calling it interesting. The 200 bar moving average test. Well, today they came in and also got it above the channel, which I really like to see. So I think we're changing complexion here. There's a few more charts that we'll look at to show that that's probably what's happening. But look, we are now above the channel, right? Holding the 200 bar moving average with a nice strong buy on a Friday. So you got to like what you see here. Love the fact that we're out of the channel. Looks like complexion is changing. Let's look at the Russell. The Russell 2000. Same sort of thing going on here. Outside of the Oscarism known as an F flag. We got above it as of today. In fact, it's still live happening now. The interesting thing, I showed this in a video yesterday or mentioned it in a chart in my live trading room. How interesting is this that Wall Street knew exactly where to come in and buy? Yesterday's major dip all the way down, they came in and bought it and we ended up settling at the highs on Thursday. This is Friday's bar live right now. They knew exactly where to come in and buy that, right at the bottom where the support or where the geometry meets right there. Very smart to see Wall Street came in there. I love the fact that they're defending the 200 bar moving average. Now, there's also this. This is the chart I put in last night's video, which really had my attention. The YM, the mini Dow. Now, look at this mini Dow. A few things going on here, but we're out of the red channel now, and we've gotten out of the F flag. So, out of the channel, right? This channel that was here that we were stuck in. We're above it, and we just got above the F flag. Let's get that out of the way. And what are we left with? The cavalry comes to the rescue at the 200 bar moving average. I think from here we're going to get some up days. I think they'll buy it at least back into this big channel up here. Let me darken that in for you. I think they're going to take this thing at least up into this channel right here. So let's see what color will show up. We'll make it blue. That's probably the next thing that'll happen is we'll get back into this channel. So that's what I'm looking at so far. And let me see if I can show you another chart. Let's go here first to the NASDAQ. Now this chart, if you recall, I've been showing you in video after video when I started to make the big bottoming call. I showed you this NASDAQ chart and I said, listen, I don't care what anyone in the world says. I don't care what they say on TV. I don't care what Warren Buffett says. When I see a chart that acts like this, I call what I see. So, a month or so ago, I brought this chart before your eyes and I said, look at this chart. Look at how far back we can go before you break the 200 bar moving average. You've got to go all the way to the 2008-9 crack to break the 200 bar moving average. After that, it just stays solid. From 2009, it just does not break again. And you move forward, and it just does not break. 2018, 2019. During COVID, it did not break. It held right on the money, in fact. During COVID, you went right to the 200 bar moving average and held. NASDAQ is not known for breaking it. So I showed this to everybody, and I said, listen, if this continues and we can get back above this 200 bar moving average, we will start to go into an upwards channel. and look at the channel that's being formed. So let's move this out of the way for now. See this blue channel? Let's just get it out of the way. And why it's not moving is beyond me, but well, maybe I could just erase it. All right, blue channel has been moved out of the way. What's starting to form now is this green channel, just as we'd expect, and I'll go back and show you why we'd expect that. See this green channel? Let's make it solid, in fact. Now we're starting to move in this direction after bouncing off of the 200 bar moving average on the weekly NASDAQ. And we have broken out of the red channel, right? So finally, we're breaking out of all this downward nasty movement that we were seeing. We were stuck in this channel, down, 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 and then finally hits the 200 bar moving average, finds its footing so far, and is now pulling a channel that's basically heading north, right? So we're above the red resistance channel. We're holding the 200 bar moving average. We're starting to build a channel north. Now, if you take a look back after hitting the 200 bar moving average right there, what do we build? A channel heading north. All right, let's make these green because they're heading north. So we build a channel heading north right after hitting the 200 bar moving average. Okay, what happens when you go back here? You get near the 200 bar moving average, just get near it. You start building a channel moving higher. In fact, look at how big the channel ended up being. Once again, let's move back. You get anywhere near this 200, an upwards trajectory begins. Look, all we did was get near the 200, in this case, on the weekly NASDAQ. And once again, you got near it here. Look what happened when you actually hit it back here. We hit it. What happens next? Upwards trajectory. All right, so I can keep showing you example after example, but why? We're here. Let's get rid of all these crazy channels I just put on that don't make any sense. And we are doing the same thing, bouncing off the 200 in an upwards trajectory. So that's the way I see it, and I thought I would show that to you. But for shorter term trading, where we are right now, we are breaking above all the nasty things. Look at the Russell, right? We are above this channel, if you will, on the Russ, above the red channel. Now we're above this F flag, so we can dismantle the F flag. And we are above this channel. Just what we want to see. It's finally breaking out above channel. So we're above the red channel. We're moving in the right direction. It looks like Wall Street, the algos, were watching at the bottom of that F flag when I showed that to you earlier. They were all over this thing when it hit down there. Or let's even call it a channel. They were all over this channel when it hit. Let's see, it should be shaped like that. That works. Street came in there. Now we're above this. I like what I see in each of these markets that I showed you. And we have Apple. At Dano's request, we'll take a look at Apple. That just needs to be erased. I forgot to mute those phones, to be honest. So here is your Apple chart. And, well, let's just pull Apple back in so you can see what it is. And we'll make this a little bigger now. All right, so bull flag, Apple chart. Check this out. Huge component to the S&P, right? Let's make this flag line a little bigger, where it extended down to. We'll make them a little darker and no longer interrupted. And lo and behold, look at where support comes in. Right here at the bottom of the flag channel. And now we're getting purchased at the 200 bar moving average. So you got to like Apple, right? So far, you got to like what you see. It's gyrating inside of a bull flag. When it's done with that bull flag, it should continue higher. As you know, I've put out a year-end call for the market to move higher. And that's what we would expect. And what I just showed you on that NASDAQ chart, I don't think there's an argument for it. I can't find an argument against that NASDAQ chart that I showed you. So I think there's a chat here somewhere. I don't know that I can open it. Let's see, show chat. There is a chat here. Let's see what you guys are writing to me, and we'll see what we could do with some of your questions. What do I think about, that's a loaded question. I'm not going to answer it. It's because of Tesla, huh? Well, let's go take a look at Tesla. You want me to add a 50 bar moving average to this, Dano? It's already sitting there. It's got to light it up. Nothing there, really. It's the 200 that we're interested in on Apple. So let's go take a look at Tesla. And let's see what this chart looks like. Wow, wonderful channel. That stayed in for a while, huh? Look at that blue channel. How nice was that? And now we're falling out of the channel, all right? So we can remove it for now. We're below the 200. We're above the 50. And, you know, you can just see what's forming right here, right? I mean, you can see the lines just go around this thing the way they're supposed to. Something is happening right in here, which generally kind of looks like it's some weird flag building thing. Right? You got some kind of a flag looking thing here, and if you really want to, you can just stick a flag pole on this right here. Right? I don't know what you want to call it, but you got something going on, so we'll get rid of the pole for now. We're in a channel, moving higher. I don't think there's anything wrong with Tesla. Let's go see what it looks like on a weekly. Tesla on a weekly. Well, okay, so weekly looks much better. So what you could do with this right off the bat, let me just show you what I'm seeing. So Tesla on a weekly bar. So right off the bat, you can see something simple happening here. There's three things, really. You've got this little inverted head and shoulders building. We could even take that as the shoulder, right? And you got a head down here. And then you got another shoulder to the right. So you have an inverted head and shoulders building, looks like Mickey Mouse, building at the 200 bar moving average on a weekly. Or you get rid of this voodoo completely. And you say, this is happening. Some kind of V bottom, number 2. Or number 3, third thing that I see happening, simplest that everyone can see. Just call this a bull flag and we'll move on our way when it breaks out. Above the 200 bar moving average, nice bull flag building on the weekly. It probably will take us higher because it's that, it's this, and it's this all at the same time. So pretty good on Tesla weekly, I would say. Meta is a good one to look at as well. I haven't looked at Meta on the weekly in a while. We'll switch to a daily. Let's see the weekly first. Wow, same sort of formation on Meta. Meta looks even better than Tesla, if you ask me. Look at the daily on Meta. Go Facebook. Let's clean this up a little bit because I use this to experiment a lot. Let me just get rid of some of these lines that are meaningless. So once we got above the 200 bar moving average, it broke out, came back down into the channel, which already existed from here. And now you're breaking back out of the channel. I think that this is going to be a monster stock. There is a fundamental, which, you know, I basically trade the technicals, but there's a fundamental here with Meta, Facebook, if you will. What the fundamental is they are doing everything in their power right now to try to ban TikTok across the nation. It looks like that might actually happen. If it does, as close as you can get to it for now is Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, right? So that may be telling us in a larger sense that they will go with the ban on TikTok, and Meta will absolutely appreciate from that. So these are some of the things I was looking at. I'm glad to see that the ES is starting to turn, NASDAQ as well. OMNI had a red arrow still as of this morning, so nothing I could do but take the first trade. Luckily, the stop wasn't all that large, and we were stopped out. But now we can start gearing for the upside. So Gary Wagner wants to know, how about NVIDIA? I should have that here, Gary. Ooh, wow, it's still going crazy. Check this out. So this is another one of our stocks that we liked in a webinar, I don't know, a couple of weeks back. This was one of the ones that we brought up. So let me just bring some of the tags back in that was sitting on here. And we'll take a look at this chart since it's gotten above this area. Last time I looked at this chart, we were working right here. Well, look what's happened since, huh? You've gotten above this red line, which, let me clean this up. So let's see how far back this red resistance line is going. It's all the way up there. Oh, okay. Look at this. It starts from here, right? So you got this resistance line starting all the way back here. And then as we move forward, that's what we broke out of. Very nice. And as you can see, although it's very choppy, this chart, for longer term, you can see that it's also building another simple to see channel moving in this direction. So that's looking really good if you ask me. NVIDIA looks fantastic. And it has, since it's broken out of here, and it built its base over the 200 bar moving average. No problem, Gary. Can I help anybody else with a chart or a commodity or a stock or you name it? If you can come up with it, I can analyze it. If it's worth analyzing, of course. So there was anything else catching my attention? Well, actually, Netflix last week did. Right here. This is why it was catching my attention last week. It's doing the opposite of what you'd expect because everything else is starting to find support. But not Netflix. You see that? It fell through. And last week we were questioning what would we do here. If it holds, you buy, right? Because it's in a bullish channel. And when it hits there, it seems to hold. And if it breaks through, selling will begin. So we had a question last time we looked at this. What would you do here? Well, look what it's doing here. Failing for the first time, right? Usually you get the little hold and away you go. Hold, away you go. Back here, hold, and away you go. Now we've broken through, so that is different. So what do we do now? We start looking for channels going this way and see if there's anything that's building in that direction. That's not quite a channel. Let's see if there's a channel. Okay, that's not quite a channel, but this looks more like a channel. So that's probably what's building right now. And now we're starting to get into this blue channel working its way down where we make the green channel a little more opaque, a little thinner so that we can concentrate on what's happening here. So we did break down from the big green channel and now we're working our way lower. So Netflix, that caught my attention the other day for that reason because we were at one of those do or die areas, but it is below the 50 and broke below that green channel. Now, there was a chat here somewhere. Where did that go? Lost my YouTube chat, kids. I've got too many windows open. Let me pull it up and see where you guys are. There we go. And we've got Intel, INTC, huh? INTC for Lufe Torres. Lufa. So obviously I've been doing some work on this, right? You can see I've been here. Let's get rid of this. And we know we are in this channel still. We'll just extend it. We are now in here. Can't say I like it. I don't know what to call it. I don't have... Just looking at it, nothing really comes at me. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what that is. I have zero opinion when I look at that chart. I mean, if I had to say anything, the obvious is all that you could say about this chart is it started here. It held here, and you've got a challenge going on right there. That's about all we can say for now. You got to let that challenge take place. And if I can help anybody else, any other requests? Let's see, is there anything else I want to bring to, oh, gold, yes. Look at gold lately. Oh, it's the mini Dow. We've looked at that already. Look at gold, exited the channel, held the 200, exited this channel. Right, so now we can make the channel thinner, get rid of those, we'll get rid of the extension, make it thinner. We're not in it anymore, but we are starting to traject, luckily, back up this way. Right, new trajectory coming. And let's just, we don't want to do that. We want to make this thicker. So now you got that. We're working our way higher. And let's see where the 50 comes in. $50 is all the way up here, so we have a place to go. All right, we exited the bearish channel, now entering into a newer, hopefully will stay bullish channel. We'll keep an eye on that. I'll bet you silver looks the same. So we got this bullish channel building, which we will keep an eye on. Let's go see what the silver looks like. Oh no, we need the E before that. That's better. Look at silver. The March chart looks prettier than the May chart, but we should actually be trading May if we're going to trade it at all. So again, same sort of thing. Broke out of the channel, but are below the 200 at the moment. So silver is following gold. But silver is back above, and it's outside of that channel. Building an F flag in gold, you think? Let's go look. Is that an F flag in gold? No, I don't think so. Just a channel. And you asked me about crude oil, Gary? Crude. Crude is, I'll show you, it's starting to negate my downward call if it gets above a specific level. Let's go here and take a look at crude. It's not quite the chart I wanted to show you. I have a prettier chart. This is like a secondary chart, but I guess this is good enough. Let's just get rid of some of the stuff on here. What kind of averages are sitting here? You got the 50. We don't need it at the moment. Let's see where the 200 resides. We don't really need that. We'll just leave it out there. So what I've been looking at is this massive orange channel in crude oil. Let's just label this crude oil. It's actually just 3 on this. All right, so you got crude oil daily. Inside of this massive orange channel, the market tends to fail every time it gets up there. Now, if you're going to count, just look at how many times you can. If we turn this upside down, we give ourselves a downward arrow and make it red. Just look at how many times it tries to get above and just fails miserably. This whole area, right? Every time. So, it's here now. It generally fails right in that area. And we would expect that this continues to do this. We expect that crude will just continue to do what it's doing. Now, maybe it'll break out to the upside, maybe it won't, but it's supposed to settle back down and go this way. Settle back down and go this way. Settle back down and go this way. So that's what we'd expect out of crude. Now, how do we negate my call for downward? If we somehow can get above this mess, well then, something else is starting to happen, right? You can get above this and hold, there's something else going on, because generally what happens here is the failure. So we decided to keep our eye on crude for the next week or so, maybe a few days. If it gets back into the orange, down we will go. So that's kind of holding pattern in crude at the moment. So we did Tesla already, but I'll do it again for you just because you did say pretty please. Tesla. So we had a really cool trade in Tesla not too long ago. And we'll drop the 50 back on here to show you that we're between the 50 and the 200 right now in Tesla. It's like right in the center of them both. 50 is here, 200's there. So we're between them both on Tesla. But what was cool about this is I was using this chart in a webinar, and I said, here's what we need to do with this chart. Watch this for 2 days. If it gets above the channel, you cannot short this Tesla stock anymore. Stayed 2 days above the channel, and look what happened. It just exploded into a flag. This is a pole. This is a flag, and it's heading towards the 200. I like what I see in Tesla. Really what it's doing is it's working in channels, right? Look, it's just working in channels. Downward channel, if you want, you can even make the downward channels slightly sharper, right? But Tesla has been working in channels. That seems to be the geometry that Wall Street uses on it. Whatever. I'm just here to make sure I pick up on it to the best of my ability. But it seems to be working in channels, downwards, back up. And I think we'll follow it in that fashion until it does something different. I like buying dips in Tesla, looking at this chart. So kids, remember that it looks like our complexion here is beginning to change. We are now getting above what was resistance. In the E-mini S&P is now support. Big, the E-mini S&P stock market, it's all the same. And there is a channel here, a quiet little gray channel that we can turn red for now because we're still not above it. We need to get above this in the S&P for us to really see the street come in and start cheering it. Because we've been stuck in it, right? Up, down, down. We got to get above that to show that getting above this big green support was something that the street was trying to do on purpose and not just something that happened and will reverse next week. We want to make sure that this was on purpose. The cavalry did come in. They came in at the 200. Was it on purpose? Well, they got it above the big support resistance line, the green one. Will they get it above the channel? If they get it above the channel, then they are looking pretty solid. So let's see, we have a couple of more requests. I see Bitcoin and the dollar. We can do both. Bitcoin might be sitting on a chart. Yes, it's sitting right here. So Bitcoin has been doing a wonderful, wonderful move to the upside lately. It's staying inside of this blue channel. In fact, I'll make it interrupted so you can see what I'm It's staying inside of this big blue channel. We'll get rid of the box. Look at how smartly, above the 200 bar moving average, this whole section. And look at how once we've gotten out of these two, and you see we started to narrow down and narrow down. Let me just grab a little tool here. We started to narrow down, right? Got smaller and more narrow, more narrow, more narrow, more narrow. Finally, it breaks, but it breaks to the downside. Gets into another one. And now this pennant starts the whole banana. This pennant squeezes for the first time in 2 years towards the upside. Haven't seen a pennant do that in Bitcoin in 2 years. Now, look at this. Boom. Flag builds above the 200. Maybe coming back to test this area right now is what I'm seeing. But I like Bitcoin. And as you know, if you stick around long enough, you will live to see this. 85,000 Bitcoin in 3.3 years is the call. It was a 5-year call. We've got 3.3 years left. You watch. It'll be there. We also had a request of the dollar index. Dollar index. Look at this bad boy. Gets above this horrible black channel. That's just kept the dollar in check for a long, long time. Look at this. Just horrible. Finally, we get above it right there, the moment of truth. And now we are working our way back up in a little bit stronger channel than that black nasty one. And that is this green one. So now we're in this channel, moving our way higher, above the 50, out of the big, ugly downwards trajectory channel. Now we have an upwards trajectory channel. And we got the 200 ball moving average above, which we'll deal with when we get there. So that's the dollar. And we've got TSM. I don't like it. I don't like the chart. Let me reverse that opinion. I have zero opinion of the company or the stock. I don't like the chart. I don't like the chart. I won't even analyze it. Anything that jumps around like this with all these herky-jerky bars, I wouldn't tell you to trade that. So I wouldn't trade it either. Just too much. Look at all these gaps. Yuck. Nasty chart, kids. I wouldn't put your money in that chart. And let's see, we haven't done Google, right? Boy, oh boy, is Google having a tough time. Yuck. It's just ugly, ugly, ugly. All right, I'm not even going to bother analyzing any further. I'm just going to type what we see. That is just ugly. That's an ugly looking chart. SQ, Dano? Are we talking about SQ soybeans or SQA stock? Square. Square looks a little better of a market that you would want to trade. Now, big rounded bottom taking place here in Square. Big rounding bottom taking place, and you've got your golden cross right here, right? Can't argue with that. Street knows when those happen. So let's take a look. Golden cross. Let's go pull our label back down. We lost it. All right, so let's go take a look at this. I mean, the way it jerks around, it's another stock that I wouldn't consider telling you guys to day trade it, but there is that, right? Nice channel, bouncing back and forth, looking like it wants to get above that channel. This kind of is running like Tesla, just making channels in opposite directions. But overall, I mean, it's not like I look at this and go, wow, that's the best looking thing I've ever seen. I would just go find another stock to trade. Can I look at JP Morgan? Sure, P-chart went up. You guys realize I'm showing you my simple 101 baby food analysis, right? You do get that, right? I'm just entertaining. It's powerful, but it's not how I would pick up it's not how I would decide where to buy and sell the market for daily trading. This is better for long term to get your eye on the ball, so to speak, and figure out where markets are going. So we are looking at JP Morgan, and like all the rest of the banks, while interest rates are going up, banks are going to do better. It's just their environment. This is not a channel. Let's see if there is a channel that makes any sense here. I don't know what that is. I guess that's the channel. All I can say is I like it, but I don't have any reasoning behind the fact that it just looks good, and in this environment with raising interest rates, banks do well. And we just did BTC, didn't we? Yes, we did, Eddie. You missed it, Eddie. Hey, Aaron, what's going on, buddy? And back to this guy. I wanted to see where NASDAQ is at the moment, if you don't mind. Yep, it is just getting better by the moment. Look at that. That's going to be the one, I promise you, between the NASDAQ Daily and the NASDAQ Weekly. This is going to be the thing that everybody talks about a couple of months from now. And I pointed this out when it first started. And I do have a lot of people mad at me at this moment for calling the upside instead of the downside. They don't believe what I've shown you. But I have to tell you, unless you are literally blind, how do you miss what happens after hitting the 200-bar moving average? So people can be mad at me as they want. I am just calling what I see, and what I see is this market going higher this year, not lower. If things change, right, if we take out the 200-bar moving average and get back into this red channel, I will absolutely negate my upwards call and look for the downside call. But as far as I'm concerned, we're just going to move higher and surprise everybody this year. Why? Because that's what the chart says, not me. All right, and lastly will be the E-mini S&P. We'll go back there. So hopefully we learned a little something together here today, kids. Just a few, just pointing out where markets are now and where it looks like they may want to go. I thank you all for tuning in. Please join me at livewithoscar.com, like, share, and all that good stuff with my YouTube videos. But I've got a live trading room. It is absolutely free. It looks like this, and you could be in it right now. That's me waving to you. There's usually a camera right in front of me, but I'm using that at the moment for the presentation. Otherwise, there'd be a camera facing me where I can speak to you, and you can ask questions, and I can answer them in real time. So if you don't mind, join the chat room. It's really easy. Go to livewithoscar.com, literally register, fill out a simple form. No credit cards or anything is required. Check your spam for an email. Once you go to that email in spam, I don't know why it ends up in spam, you will end up joining me in this room with 2 clicks, and we can hang out with each other every day and get through these rough and tumble markets. So I hope you come join me at livewithoscar.com. It's simple, it's free, and why not? I'm here every day. And you might as well join me. To the rest of us, if you can't make the trading room, remember, do this. Keep your emotions out of trading, kids, by saying this to yourselves over and over again. And some of you I know are going to say this with me. 1, 2, 3. Stops are in. Emotions are thank you so much for joining me today, kids. I'm here every day. I will see you all at livewithoscar.com.